Broads Media.
Well, look what we have here. We have ourselves another series win on the road to get back to 500. Now, why do I feel I'm going to be riding this seesaw over the next 3 weeks? They're 2 games below 500. Oh, man, wow, what a good effort. They're back to 500. Hey, the Phils are 3 games over 500. Ooh, they got swept to a team that stinks, and now they're 500. How come the words 500 or the number 500 is in my future way too much for my liking? I know it. I'm already preparing myself for it. You know, there's something to be said. Even though they took 2 or 3 here and they took 2 or 3 against the Nats, there's something still missing in regards to latching onto this team. I don't know if it's the shutout game 2 when you fall 3-0, you strike out 13 times, your team has 0 life. Zach Wheeler doesn't get any support for his 7 innings pitched. I don't know if it's because they constantly keep throwing that game into our face throughout a 3-game set, so it's a reminder, yo, Trey Turner stinks and he's going to strike out 3 times. Yo, Nick Castellanos stinks and he's not going to age like fine wine. What was that quote he threw out? Baseball's like wine. Some people get better with experience. I don't know, whatever. It was something silly like that. It actually kind of made sense. But my point is, he has been horrible. He has been terrible. And because we constantly see those flashes of bad Nick, bad Trey, and bad offense, and 0 runs, and no hits, and grounding out into double plays too much, and getting guys in scoring position, and then failing when you have a golden opportunity. If that constantly keeps smacking us in the face, how are we truly going to get any sort of momentum as a fan base to jump on board? It's sort of holding us back. At least I'm speaking from my experience. I think it's holding me back until I see them go on a serious run. And that doesn't happen as frequently as it does, then I'm probably going to be stuck right here. In game 2, Zach Wheeler, as I alluded to, went 7 innings. JT Realmuto gets hit in the chin. He looks dazed. It takes him a bit of time to get up. And then he returns to the lineup and smacks around 2 hits. Now, did the Phillies get lucky with some fielding mismanagement, if you will, from St. Louis? Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what was going on out in center field. You get 2 runs early. Alec Boehm provides a spark, so you're up 2-0. But Aaron Nola, who on paper didn't have a bad day by any means, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. You take that from a starter any day of the week. But just knowing that he gave up a couple solo shots is annoying, because just like with the offense, we've seen things recently that scar us, and what has hurt us in the playoffs has popped up early in this season. Aaron Nola getting annihilated and seeing the ball fly out of the ballpark, solo shot or not. Just the fact that there's home runs getting crucified, that just reminds us of the bad and ugly and dirty version of Aaron Nola. So the full body of work today, not bad at all. A couple of walks, his velocity was down, and he doesn't have stuff that could blow by people anyway. So if his 92, 93 stuff isn't moving and it's not having that unbelievable zip, then more times than not, it's probably not going to be sharp for him. So he walked a few. He found the way, though, and he grinded through it, and he put this team in a good position to win, and they did win. So I am giving him credit, but there are some other areas to sort of look at when we look at the progression of this year's Aaron Nola, because I became a big Aaron Nola fan because of how he gave this team a whole different level of confidence in the playoffs. So when October came around, but there's no denying that last season's regular season wasn't up to the standard, and we have to try and find a way to get more of the standard throughout the regular season. There were some things that raises some concerns. There were some things that gives me question marks. But for this particular night, it was enough. Sir Anthony's always making me uncomfortable. There's always a run scored when Sir Anthony's in the ball game, and that's a problem. It really is, because if you're going to ask Jeff Hoffman to maybe close more, and I got no problem with that, a combination between Jose Alvarado and him, and then you have your Matt Stroms, your Gregory Soto, you need someone prior to those cats. You need someone prior to those two, and if you can't rely on Sir Anthony, this is going to be horrible. I'm just being honest with you. You need Sir Anthony Dominguez, and this is brutal. This is a brutal start for him. I'm very annoyed, because I think it's even causing him to doubt. I don't see a guy up there that knows I'm going to succeed. I see a guy up there that thinks he might be able to succeed. Or I don't know if I'm going to do my job today. I'm trying to do my job today, but if I was a betting man, it's a coin flip. Well, I don't want someone taking the ball with that mentality right now. And the only way to get out of that stinky mentality is to go out there and shove and to beat opponents down, have some nasty swing and miss stuff, but he gets up in the count and then he can't put away anybody. And now that's giving some sort of life to the other team. They're getting guys on base. Even if you are in a position where you have to inherit runners, that's a job of a bullpen. That's a job of a guy coming out where you got to clean up the mess. You got to clean up the garbage. Sometimes you're put in a very sticky situation. Complete the mission. All right, have your teammates back. And it's just something that's making me very nauseous and very uncomfortable. But I like the fact that they were able to win the series. See, there's two ways to look at this, right? It's either they're not playing good enough ball for your liking, and I definitely tend to lean towards that if I'm being transparent. But the other side is, hold on a second, you're telling me that they're winning baseball games, not playing very sharp. Doesn't that tell you about who they are? Isn't that important that you have a team that's sort of stumbling along the way early here? And in years past, it was worse than this, 5-10, right? I mean, you've had some ugly starts to seasons, 6-6. All right, let's see what we can do here. It's not egregious, and maybe there's some positivity in that regard. Yeah, for sure. Anything I'm talking about now isn't a full-time projection until October, right? Like, they're not hitting that button for me right now. They're not sucking me in right now of, I love this team. It's annoying more than it is exciting. It's a chore more than it is, I love this team right now. But I'm just speaking about the right now. I know there's plenty of time for us to get sucked in, and it might take this team a little bit of time to organically get there because, well, over the last few years of this core, that's essentially what it's been. So they're getting that leash, but it doesn't mean right now that I have to be thrilled and enamored with it. It's annoying. It's annoying for sure. Nick is annoying. Trey is annoying. Bohm's not. Stott's not. Marsh is definitely not. He gets bumped up into the lineup, so good for him. Rojas had a nice little bloop, a nice little bleeder in the center field right over the second base, which right now you get balls out of the outfield or out of the infield into the outfield, and Rojas is on base. That's all good stuff. I mean, obviously what he did to start this series off, making a diving grab and knocking in a couple RBIs and getting on the bases and causing havoc with his speed, that was obviously his best game of the year, and trying to build off that is extremely important. And even though it's just one hit at the bottom of your lineup, the offer is what really hurts confidence and what hurts a lot of what a potential little run could be for someone. So just another hit for him. The bar set pretty damn low. All right, just get out there and smack around one hit at the bottom of the lineup to see if you can keep something going, and we'll see how that continues moving forward. I love me some Brandon Marsh right now. There's nothing more spectacular than seeing that wet hair, that greasy flow, the beard, and the shitty-ass Fanatic jerseys that show the difference between the gray and then the super dark gray when he dumps a bucket on his head. Those jerseys blow. I'm not a big jersey guy. I'm not someone that really gets too deep into the jerseys and this and that. Man, they suck. My point is, you know that they are abysmal if I'm even pointing out how disgusting they are. I saw a picture of Mets fans, which makes me want to vomit to begin with, but it's a Pete Alonso jersey, and the difference between, high quality, the names are big, the numbers are big, it's noticeable, and then whatever you want to call these jerseys, and I feel bad. I feel bad for the players. I feel bad for the fans that actually want to support their teams, and they're just getting a piece of what. But anyway, that's not the moral of the story here. The moral of the story is it was rainy. You had the grounds crew working their asses off. They all deserve a raise because nonstop with the weather and the rain, they fit the game in, which is important. But they were working their ass off every half inning. So you were battling some circumstances. A lot of weird weather to start the year. Super windy. Remember that game? Was it against the Braves? Who did they play after the Braves? Was it the Reds? Oh, it was the Reds. Where as soon as you pop the ball up at the first base side, you think it'll be maybe a little bit to the right of first base if you're looking at it from behind home plate, and then the ball all the way over flies, and it's out of play. It's like, what the hell? I mean, that was popped up 600 feet to the left. How did it go that way so fast? You had to deal with some wonky weather to this point, but you have to win those games. There's just no other way to put it. You have to find a way to win the games, and they did throughout the mess. Now, I don't know exactly what's going to happen with the weather here against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And by the way, this Pirates team, whether they're good or not, right now at this particular time, they are 9-3 and leading their division. So take it for what it is. I don't think that they're a 9-3 baseball team, but sometimes it's about when you catch a squad. You can see the Houston Astros game 66, 67, 68 of the season, and they're going through an ugly 4-game stretch, and you might be on a 7-game win streak, and you're playing at Citizens Bank Park, and it's a time of the year where you're rolling, and it's great, and you just catch them at the right time. While there might be a time where someone comes to Philadelphia who isn't necessarily very good. The Phillies have dropped 3 straight series. They're trying to find something. They're trying to dig deep, but they're pressing hard. They're striking out a bunch. They have no rhythm whatsoever, and then that team that's going to end up losing 100 games this season come in here and sweep, all because of the time of the year. This Pittsburgh series, you better be ready for it. They just played a 2-game set against the Tigers and split it, but they played the Baltimore Orioles in Pittsburgh and won 2 of 3. They beat up on the Nationals, which you're supposed to do when you play the Nationals because the Nationals stink. They beat up on the Marlins in a 4-game set and swept all 4 games. So the Marlins, we know, struggle. Who else did they play? They beat the Blue Jays. Wait. Oh, I'm sorry. That was the Blue Jays game was their final game of spring training. So essentially it was Marlins, Nationals, Orioles, Tigers. The Orioles are the only team that I respect in that bunch, although the Tigers are 2 games over 500. 3 games over 500. I apologize. How dare I disrespect those Detroit Tigers? Dave Dombrowski would be very, very angry with me. So they're a beatable bunch. They have a decent record, though. Let's go to the phones so we can hear from Phillies fans out there and how they feel after this series in St. Louis. We'll start things off with our guy, Sam. What's up, Sam? What's on your mind?
I don't know what to think about this game from Nola. It was okay. On one hand, the weather wasn't good, and he only gave up 2 runs in 6, but on the other hand, the 2 runs were both bombs, and there were only 3 strikeouts with 3 walks and low velocity. I'm not upset about it, but, it can always be better. I called last time, and I said I wanted more base hits and some small ball, and we're getting that out of Schwarber, and I still want that for the whole team. But at the same time, the home runs have to come. The team is just not hitting the long ball. And we got to hit some home runs against this solid Pirates team. And as we continue on the schedule, I expect 3 wins this upcoming series. Go Phils.
Yeah, what we need is, for sure, I would like more power. I'm never going to argue with screaming about getting more home runs. But the real issue here is Nick Castellanos and Trey Turner are so up and down, and they also can't hit with runners in scoring position. So this was after yesterday's game. So this was after Game 2 against St. Louis. This was from Corey Seidman. The Phillies are 30 for 157 with men on base this season, which is 191 batting average, which is only ahead of the Twins and the White Sox. So after Game 2, or during Game 2, yesterday at 10 o'clock, after Game 2, 30 for 157, hitting 191 with runners in scoring position. I don't care how many home runs you hit. I don't care about this and that or the other. That's brutal. That's not good enough. You are going to lose games because you fail in those moments. So you have to clean that up. You do. You saw Alec Boehm make them pay early in Game 3, which is how you should stick a dagger in their back. Give this team multiple chances. Screw you. We're going to make you pay. That's how you have to do it. But 191 won't fly. Oh, congratulations. You're better than Minnesota and the stinking Chicago White Sox. That's a damn disgrace. Now, Bob Wankel also had some interesting things to say about a very similar topic. So the Phillies went through massive problems with runners on last year as well. Here's where they were on June 24th last season in a few categories. They were 28th in the league in OPS with runners in scoring position with a 6.77 OPS. They were 23rd in the league with 243 batting average with runners in scoring position, and 28 homers with runners on base, which is 25th in the league, dating back to June 24th, just looking at last year. Underachieving. That would be this crew underachieving. And I don't know if they just think too much, they're trying to do too much, they're putting too much pressure on themselves, because once it becomes a narrative, it makes it that much more difficult. And by the way, Phils, it's becoming a narrative, and rightfully so, because you're only better than the Minnesota Twins and the Chicago White Sox when it comes to runners in scoring position. So it deserves to be beaten down. But you can't let that get to your head. You have to block out the noise. You have to execute, or else it's going to be a long season. So I like the way that you labeled the Aaron Nola stuff, though, Sam. I like the way that you said it. I'm not complaining about it, but it could be better. I feel that. The velocity is strange because he doesn't have much wiggle room around the velocity. If you throw 99, but you're throwing 97, sure, it's technically a dip, but you can do a lot of work with 97. You can't do a lot of work if Aaron Nola isn't throwing his hardest. There's just no way around it. All right, let's go to Amadeo.
Hey, if you told me, after these 2 series on the road trip that the Phillies would find a way to win 2 series, I'll take that any day of the week. You're 500. Technically, you're at a better record than when you were at this point last season to start off 2023. So I guess that is a step in the right direction. Nola today, I thought he settled in pretty nicely, even though he did allow 2 home runs. I thought he put you in a position to win the game, so that is the most important thing at the end of the day. With the conditions and all that stuff, I'm sure that's probably one of the reasons why his velocity was down a little bit, for both sides. It was just a very, very weird day in terms of pitching for both teams. But, I think the one thing that, when we're listening to your pods here, I feel like most people that call you in it are mostly talking about the bullpen, mostly talking about the pitching. I think we need to focus the concerns on the offense right now.
Yeah.
Just because they're only hitting singles.
Yeah.
When was the last time this team had an extra base hit? They didn't have an extra base hit basically all game today. I don't believe they had a home run basically this entire series against St. Louis.
Hold on. Let me pause real quick for a second. So you're telling me that everybody who wanted small ball, and I'm not saying you wanted small ball, but just in general here, this is how my brain works, right? Because I said I want bombs. I want home runs. And all I heard was, well, we want small ball. We want to put the ball in play. And now we have a bunch of guys that in theory should be raking, but, they're not getting that power right now. And now it has switched to we can't survive with just singles. Huh! So now we can't survive with small ball. Oh. It's almost like I understand how this game works a little bit. I'm just saying. I'll let you continue, Amadeo.
So, yeah, there's a lot of question marks right there. Do I believe they get better over the course of the season? 100%. I don't expect Kyle Schwarber to only hit singles, even though that's a very funny thing. Bryce Harper, I do believe, will improve. Trey Turner, I do believe, contrary to the belief, I do believe he improves. But right now, it just feels like this whole philosophy with the changing of the hitting staff, new names, because I did see that article from Matt Gelb talking about all this stuff that he posted this afternoon. It just kind of feels like they're trying to do little 2 things at once, And when they see pitches that are right over the middle of the plate, like, they just miss them. They're just missing things. I can't explain it. It's weird. It needs to be better. It's frustrating. But I do believe it gets better.
I do too with some guys. I don't know if it will with Trey or Nick. Something tells me that the pressure of coming here, the contract, Trey Turner just doesn't feel right in his own skin. He doesn't scream Philadelphia. He screams West Coast LA. He screams West Coast guy. I'm just being honest. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to stink. Sometimes I think his numbers don't stink, but when I watch him play, his numbers don't reflect who he is. Like, there's times where you look at JT's numbers on paper after a season. It's like, well, he wasn't that bad. Yeah, but I watched every game. I'm sorry. Those numbers don't really tell you exactly how it felt and exactly how he played. The numbers are pretending like he did better than he actually did. I watched every game. I watched it. Those numbers don't reflect our emotions to the right degree. It just doesn't. Well, with Trey, I don't know what his numbers are going to end up being here. He just doesn't seem to be comfortable. And if he's not comfortable yet, I don't know what it's going to take. Last year, it was a standing ovation. We can't dig deep every year and find something to spark him and get him out of that funk. He just does not look right. So I don't know if Nick or Trey will ever get right. And remember, there was a lack of power out of Bryce previously, and that relates also. And every time I rip Bryce, he goes on a 5-home run stretch. So I'm saying this knowing that Bryce is about to have a multi-home run day followed by a grand slam. All right, just what it is. But remember, there was the piece from Jason Stark about the lack of launch angle. Even though I don't expect Bryce Harper to not hit home runs. I'm just wondering if there is a correlation, that's all. But getting to your Matt Gell piece, yes, I read it as well on The Athletic. And here's the quote that he sort of teased his article with, and it's from Rob Thompson. I think we have to be careful sometimes because we talk about don't chase, and then we want to have balance because you want to maintain your aggression in the strike zone. So it sounds to me like they're just thinking about too much. It's a golfer who's going up to the ball and he's thinking about his hips, he's thinking about his shoulders, he's thinking about his follow-through, he's thinking about, did I screw up? Should I grab the 5-iron? I have a 6-iron. And now when they step up to the ball and they're over top of it, taking their practice swings, they know prior to hitting the ball, it's not going to happen flush. Something bad's going to happen because they just got too much going on in the noggin. That's exactly what's going on here, and that would be a problem from the organizational approach. That would be you stressing things not the right way. That's what it comes down to. If everyone's having this issue and everyone in the lineup is doing that means you were doing too much. You're asking them to do too much while they're up there. They're complicating things, and then that would go on the staff for complicating everything. You have to dial it back, I guess. Get back to simpler times. See ball, hit ball. I guess. Is it that simple? Maybe they should put me on the coaching staff. Let's take another call here.
Hello, bros. Rowdy Syracuse here. I'm not impressed by us winning a series against St. Louis in that fashion. I don't care that it's a gutsy win, that we just won 2 series on the road, first time since 2011. Too much meat is left on the bone. I just don't care. I cannot get hyped up over a 1-run win when we left so many guys in scoring position. I'm not even talking about on the base, just scoring position. You're not going to beat the good teams like that. It ain't going to happen. Hey, can we stop? Can we stop swinging at sliders? Is it possible? We're facing professional pitchers. Most of them are not going to hang a slider in the zone.
Sure, Anthony does.
Stop swinging and striking out on the fucking sliders.
Sure, Anthony does.
Casty, JT, Harper, Turner. I mean, just pick a name, really. Really, I mean, besides Marsh. I mean, Marsh acts like he wants to play. That's nice.
Marshy.
Everybody else, Bolton's doing fine. Stott can't hit nothing. Turner can't hit nothing. Cassie's finally starting, I take it back. He is finally kind of starting to hit a little bit.
Is he? Hold on. Are you ripping my guy Stott? Are you saying Stott can't do anything? Am I missing something? What's Bryson Stott up at on the year? I don't think it's as bad as what you're making it out to be. Bryson Stott is hitting 211. Oh. In 211. Yeah, you could throw Stott in there. Didn't feel like 211. I apologize. Shame on me. How come the slider Sir Anthony throws goes flat, or guys are laying off because they realize it's out of his hand, out of the zone, and then also going out of the zone even more, and then Nick is just swinging away when it's him? Nick strikes out the same way every time. I'm sort of impressed. I'm impressed that he can strike out the same way so many times. I've never seen anything like it. Well, that's not fair. People got on Ryan Howard for a very similar thing, just in regards of how you're not going to lay off pitches you know that are coming, you know. But Ryan Howard also provided us beauty. One of the best power hitters of all time. You didn't get that with Nick. He had 14 homers his first time here. 14 homers. 14. 1-4. Ryan Howard takes a shit and hits 14 home runs. How do you do that? No idea. All right, everybody. I love you guys to death. I appreciate it. It's a good series win, but there's still something missing with this team right now, if we're being honest with one another. Love you guys to death and talk to you all soon.